By now, the power of words and thoughts should be established in our minds. The 10th chapter of The Game of Life and How to Play It talks about it further and also gives readers some affirmations they can use. Every good and beautiful idea we have is already accomplished in the divine mind. The manifestation of it in our reality is now dependent on the man's recognition and spoken word. This is why we must be careful of the things we declare or say. We should be mindful that the things we speak about are only based on the divine idea and not on idle words or misfortune. From here, wording your desires correctly also comes in. It is not enough to want something, but instead we should make the demand for divine selection. This can be said through the words, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for my right home, my right friend, my right position. I give thanks that it now manifests under grace in a perfect way." For example, there was this woman who demanded $1,000. She did not speak of it in a careful way. Although she received the money, her daughter had to be injured first. In other words, her desire did not come in a perfect way. Demanding for something to come by divine right, under grace, and in a perfect way is very important, especially in financial desires. These affirmations should be repeated so that belief is also established in the subconscious. However, one should not plead or supplicate, but give thanks repeatedly that he has received. Declare, believe, and trust the leadings. For instance, another woman in this chapter needed to demonstrate a large sum of money. She was well aware that for manifestations to come true, she must do something. So after she declared, affirmed, and gave thanks, she waited for a lead. As she was walking in a department store, she saw a nice paper cutter and felt a need to buy it. Besides, she missed the feeling of having a good paper cutter to open letters with checks. So she bought the paper cutter, which the reasoning mind would have called an extravagance. The moment she bought it, she had images of her opening an envelope with a large check. After some time, it did come true. The pink paper cutter was her bridge of active faith. When you start learning about these things, you just cannot go back to your old thinking patterns. As this chapter says, when a student starts out to demonstrate, he should never turn back. Do not waver or even think of stepping back. Your manifestations will happen in the perfect time. This chapter also talks about some of the things we do that hinder the fulfillment of our demonstrations or manifestations, one of which is limiting our own demands. We can never release what we think is impossible. If we limit our expectations and make them smaller, we also prevent the perfect idea from coming into realization fully. This is exactly what happened to one student who demanded $600 by a certain date. Although he received what he exactly spoke about, he could have received almost $1,000 only if he didn't limit himself. The next thing that could stop you from experiencing the perfect idea is impatience or hastiness. Always remember that man's dreary desires are answered drearily, and his impatient desires are long delayed or violently fulfilled. This means that when we declare something, we shouldn't force it to come right away. Instead, we should wait patiently and give thanks to every moment that leads you to your desires. If you force a demonstration out of desperately wanting to speed up the process, you bring it to a standstill instead. To some people, this can be hard because of the fears and doubts they have. However, this chapter teaches us that demonstrations often come at the 11th hour. During this time, man learns to let go and stop reasoning. Only then does infinite intelligence have a chance to work. Florence Scovel also talked about the two attitudes of mind that can lead to loss: depreciation and fear of loss. Depreciation causes us to take the things we have for granted and later on lose them, while fear of loss pushes us to picture failure and losses and later on impressing it in our subconscious. Fortunately, we can do something about it. Here are some of the important things Florence Scovel has shared. Number 1, cast your burdens to God. Once we learn how to not obsess over our problems, solutions for them come up. The universe nor God cannot help you fix your problems if you do not let go of them and hand it over. Number 2, always follow a denial with an affirmation. Whenever you hear a denial or a negative thought spoken for you, you can neutralize it by declaring an affirmation. There is no time or space in the divine mind, therefore the word instantly reaches its destination and does not return void. Hence, we shouldn't waste our time on these denials. Number 3, call on to the name of Jesus. His name alone is powerful enough to command all our desires into reality. The power of this name raises the student into the 4th dimension, where he is freed from all astral and psychic influences, and he becomes unconditioned and absolute, as God himself is unconditioned and absolute. There's even this Bible verse that says, "Whatever ye ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you." Above all else, we should remember that the game of life is just following the rules of fearless faith, non-resistance, and love. Follow and live by them, and you'll surely achieve success. That ends our summary on Florence Shinn's The Game of Life and How to Play It. Always remember that your thoughts have the power to change your life. Till next time, thank you for watching.